Welcome to those of you watching on YouTube. This is Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steev Riccardo. If you want to hear this entire show with intros, outros, and music, please go to Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon. I'm always forgetting someone, but I do it every week. I don't know how. Please welcome to the show, Heather Grunwald.
Hey Steve, thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. We met formally at the New Alliance Gallery at the art show, and you're friends with Duncan Wilder Johnson, but I'm not going to hold that against you. Just kidding. We love you, Duncan.
Absolutely. Duncan's the best. We grew up together.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you more about that in a minute, but it was great that you came down to the gallery. Was that your first time at New Alliance Gallery in Somerville?
No, I've been there before. I knew that Duncan was down there. It was a year ago, maybe. I popped down to say hi for a gallery. I don't know if it was Open Studios, but wanted to go down again and say hi to Duncan. I started following you on Instagram and really liked your art. So I was like, oh, let's all go and see this gallery opening. So my husband, sister, and brother-in-law went down, and that's where I met you.
Did you get a piece of my art?
I did.
You did. Huh.
I did.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. I'm going to thank you in front of the whole world. Thank you.
awesome.
I had a really good night that night. I usually don't move that many pieces, but it was a
Yeah,
very artist-friendly crowd.
absolutely. And what a great space to be in. It's very I couldn't get over Nick's collection of synths and that room was just incredible. I wanted to just play in there all night.
Oh, so you spent a lot of time in Nick Z's room.
Nick Z's room.
Yeah.
Yep,
Nick
good
Z
stuff.
engineered about probably 30 of my shows during the pandemic. He's the only person that I could work with when I was doing the shows in the studio. So it was great going on to Nick's. We have a long history too. He worked on some records a band that I managed, the Charms and other things. He's really good. Do you play keyboards at all?
I don't. I try to. I play a little melodica, but that's about as close as
Oh,
I'll
we're
get.
gonna
I just like
talk.
to noodle.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the melodica because I want to get into that. So, let's talk about, you grew up in Worcester County, right?
Mhm.
Was it Upton?
I grew up in Mendon. So
Mendon.
Mendon and Upton were a regional school district. I think we combined at the seventh grade level, I want to say. So I think that's when I first met Duncan.
Yeah, well, I'm from Webster. So people that are
Right.
around the world listening, we're talking about these little towns and not so little towns in Worcester County, which are about, 45 to an hour outside of Boston. Did you like growing up in that area?
I got out as soon as I could.
Did
It
you go to
was okay. I had a lot of great friends and I wouldn't have changed it for the world. A lot of my musical influence definitely came from the people I grew up with, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I'll ask you where you went when you left, but I'm curious about when you started listening to music and what kind of music it was that caught your ear immediately.
Yeah, for sure. I can remember my first 45 was She Blinded Me with Science. And I was
Thomas
hooked.
Dolby.
Exactly. I was absolutely hooked from then on. And I can remember, my mom being a single mom very early on when we were really little. I have three sisters. We would have dance parties and she would always play records. Um, and we would have all these dance parties. So music was always a big part of our life. So growing up was that. And then, of course, fifth grade comes along, sixth grade, and I'm into all of the metal hair bands, some of which you may have signed to specific labels. And, and then,
You're funny.
uh, love that. Super influential. And yeah.
What was that? AAF you were listening to?
Oh
WAAF?
yeah, WAAF. Yep, for sure.
So you
And
were a
then
teenager in the 80s?
no,
Yeah,
not in the 80s, 90s, early
I
90s.
was gonna say
But
you're not that old.
yeah.
But you were
Good
listening to it when
times.
you were really young.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think for my first concert was Bon Jovi in 1987.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Did your
yeah,
mom
it was
take
great.
you?
She did.
That's a good mom.
Yep.
And
I still have the concert ticket
I
stub.
met one of your sisters. How many sisters do you have?
I have three sisters.
Any brothers?
Yes. No brothers. I have a
And
half brother, but didn't grow up with him.
wow, so you grew
Yeah.
up with a bunch of girls.
Hmm.
And you're into the girl band. Sorry, I'm just joking. Well, the
I'm into
hair
all
band.
bands, honestly.
Um, were there any that you mentioned Thomas Dolby? Were there any bands that really stuck out where you had your favorite? Was like Bon Jovi your favorite? I mean, who was your favorite band?
Oh man, I would say like Skid Row was my absolute favorite. I just absolutely love
Skid
Sebastian
Row.
Bach. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, that was it. And then moving on, like I always listened to Slayer. Absolutely loved Slayer. So a little bit of that.
You
Testament
got
for
heavy.
sure.
Oh,
Yeah, I would
got
like the
real
heavy
heavy.
stuff. Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I would do the Columbia Records, you send in the penny and you'd get whatever, 9 tapes or 10 tapes. And I would just pick out everything from the heavy metal section and just go through it.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't peg you as a metal person. That's
Oh yeah.
great.
Oh
I
yeah,
got to
yeah.
tell you a Skid Row story. I was at the show in Springfield. I saw them several times, but the one I remember, I was visiting my family, and I had a friend that worked for Aerosmith, and I got tickets to the Springfield and the Boston show. Boston was New Year's Eve. The Springfield show was a few days before, and I was at the show. I don't know if you heard about it, but someone threw a bottle on stage, and Sebastian Bach thought it was a good idea to throw the bottle back into a general admission crowd, and he ended up hitting a 17-year-old girl, and he got a lot. He got sued and everything. But the thing I remember the most about that show is when Aerosmith came out, and Tyler goes up to the mic. He goes, if anybody throws a bottle up here, I'm gonna come out there, kick your ass, and fuck your old lady right in front of you. That's what I remember from that. It was like 91, I think. And it was
Oh,
like one of the great moments in rock. Tyler like totally put everyone in their place. And like
unbelievable. To be there at that time, that's incredible.
Joe grew up not too far from where you grew up, Hopedale.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Aerosmith had one of their first, if not their first concert at Nipmuc Regional High School in Mendon. So yeah.
It's funny because a friend of mine who passed away several years ago, Jimmy D'Angelo, was in a band called Mad Angel way back then, and Aerosmith used to open for them, and they actually asked Jimmy to join their band, and he wanted to stay in his band with his brother, and that's a famous story of a Worcester guy that stayed. He ended up being in Pretty Poison, August. I don't know if you know any of those bands. I followed all those bands. I became good friends with Jimmy. He passed away a few years ago, but I remember going to the Hungry Lion, I think it was called, in Medway. It's right near Mendon, right?
Right near Mendon, sure.
Yeah, well, that was probably gone by the time you growing up, but I went there and I got into the show as a underage. It was like 78, I think, because my friend Jimmy's brother was the bass player in the band, and we got into his brother. But
Oh, that's
we went to that
fantastic.
club over there. I remember that. Route 16 it was
Oh
in
yeah.
Medway. Um, the blues.
Yeah.
Okay, when did the blues? That was like that. Like you're awesome, and I loved meeting you. But when I after I listened to you play, and I figured out you like the blues, I was like, I got to get her on the show and talk to her about the blues. So when did that happen? Because you said you went into the metal, and
I I did, but my mom always had a great record collection and CD collection. She was always playing something. And I remember grabbing, I'm pretty sure like BB King CDs and listening to them in high school and that's when I first really got exposed to blues. And she took me to see BB King when he played in Boston. I don't remember the year, but I was definitely not old enough to drive. Um, and that was like, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And meanwhile, I'm like slowly getting into straight edge hardcore. I'm like going down to Providence every weekend to Club Babyhead and just like absorbing that whole scene. and at the same time listening to all this contemporary stuff that my mom's bringing, like influencing me with. So that was the start of it. But I think it really, really took hold after college when I graduated. I had nowhere to go, no
Which
job. Of course,
college?
UMass Amherst.
Oh, Zoomass.
Yes. Yep. So moved home. At that time, my mother was renting an apartment in Boston with her boyfriend. And her boyfriend, Tom, had hundreds of blues CDs. He's big in the blues scene still now. He's a photographer. He gave me my first harmonica and just said, "Oh, here you go. You know, you like music, go for it.
Tom
I played
who?
a little guitar." Tom
Did,
Hazeltine.
I know that name. Wow.
Yeah, you probably do. He
Yeah.
manages a couple bands in the area. Rick Estrin and the Nightcats. He's always doing something and he's always out at shows. So I didn't know anyone in Boston. So Tom and my mom, Karen, would drag me out to shows like the old Harper's Ferry when Harper's Ferry was
Yeah.
like a blues club.
Yeah.
Um, and then where else? Even the original House of Blues in Cambridge when it was that little red
I
building.
remember
I mean,
that
they
place
had,
too. Yep.
oh man, they had the best shows. And that's where I just fell in love. Yeah.
So how old you were just out of college when this happened?
Yeah, I was like 21, 22.
So you didn't start playing until you were in your early 20s. Did you play any other instruments before then?
I did. I started playing flute. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old, taking
Flute.
private lessons and then bands, like middle school band, high school band. I think I dropped out of the high school band though. I think I got too cool. And then I played guitar as well.
Wow. So you
Yeah.
picked up several instruments, but it was the harmonica that really got you, right?
Yeah, I never really put serious time into the guitar and I regret that, but I did pick up the harmonica. And I can remember commuting to work, driving with my niece, had the tape in the tape player, learning how to play harmonica while driving with my
That's
niece.
awesome.
Sorry, mom. Yes, I was very
Wow.
bad, but
Did you
that
get
was really how I learned.
yeah, like I know you said you were you had a lot of blues records accessible to you. Did you see anyone play live? I mean, who do you remember seeing live? Was it locals or did you go? You said you saw BB King. I don't know who.
Yeah.
I'd have to. Okay, as much as I think I know everything, I don't know who played harmonica with BB King. Do you?
Oh, yeah, sure. There was a bunch of guys who played harmonica with BB King. But I'm not sure. When I saw him, I don't think anybody was playing, but
It's okay.
oh,
I'm just trying to
off the
find
top of
out.
my head.
Yeah, did you see any other blues harmonica players?
Oh, yeah, Jerry Portnoy used to play with BB King, and I have
Jerry
seen him
Portnoy.
play. Yes, yeah, yeah. I've seen him play around the scene. Of course, James Cotton. I never missed an opportunity to see him play. I saw the great John Hammond, who's the son
Mm.
of the music producer. So John Hammond Jr., absolutely incredible. He just plays an acoustic guitar with a harmonica on the rack. I'm pretty sure that was a House of Blues concert back in the day. Clarence Gatemouth Brown at Harper's Ferry, where he's always smoking this pipe. I mean, absolutely incredible, playing some fiddle. Lazy Lester was a highlight for me. I got to meet him. He signed one of my CDs, just the nicest guy. Uh, Gave him the CD and it's a picture of him. He said he was 19 years old in the picture and he looked at it and he was like, I can't believe that was me. And just the sweetest guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, just for the fun of it, I jotted down a few blues players that I really like just to see if we're on the same page. I think we talked about this when we saw each other. Little Walter, Marion Walter Jacobs would have to be my absolute favorite. He died when he was only 38 after a street fight of all things under very strange circumstances. But, he played on I Just Want to Make Love to You with Muddy Waters and
Yeah.
Juke and My Babe. He's at the top of my list. And both the Sonny Boy Williamsons, although Sonny Boy Williamson the second, Alec Miller, he might have been a better blues harmonica player than the first Sonny Boy Williamson, John Lee Curtis Williamson. But
There
he
you
was
go.
recording back in the late 30s, early
Yeah.
40s. And I love, I've been dealing with the devil, whiskey headed
Uh,
woman, and just a
his
couple
Good
more.
Morning Little Schoolgirl
Yeah. Oh,
is
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
two more I had on my list. James Cotton, who you mentioned, Sonny Terry, who would probably be my second favorite behind Little Walter. Those were just some of the guys. So you must know all them, right?
All of them. Yeah, sure. I mean, Little Walter was, I heard Little Walter and it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind what you could do on the harmonica. I had no idea. I think the first song I really learned how to play was Temperature by Little
Oh,
Walter.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely love him. But yeah, I'm aware of his coming up in Chicago, and the fights and the shenanigans he would get up to are just incredible. Absolutely interesting life story. For those who don't know it, go check it out.
It's pretty
Um,
remarkable that it took till 2008 for him to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I remember when Clapton inducted him, he was talking about how Little Walter influenced him more than anyone, even other guitar players. I thought that was a
sure.
pretty good compliment. The film that came out, Cadillac Records, was when a lot of people actually found out about Little Walter. I know we talked about this, but I was for a long time very well, we're still close now, but we worked together for a long time. Chili Kurtz, who from the band Caged Heat, and she's like the biggest Little Walter fan I've ever met. She's got a Little Walter tattoo on her arm, so a picture of Little Walter playing on a harmonica. Did you tell me you saw Caged Heat?
Oh yeah, I've seen Cage Heat a bunch of times. I want to say it was like 2000, 2001. I definitely remember seeing Cage Heat play at Sally O'Brien's in Union Square. Um, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do what Chili Kurtz is doing. Yeah, I was blown away.
I talked to her on the phone the other day and I mentioned you to her, and she was like really excited to hear that there was somebody else doing, and and she said, does she even know who Little Walter? I'm like, yeah, she does know who Little Walter is. You
That is
you
a
got to see
very
her
fair
play.
question.
You got because a lot of people say that they know the blues, but then you like Sonny Boy Williamson the first, most people have no idea. They'll oh yeah, the guy with the Yardbirds. I'm like, no, no, no. Like
Mm-mm.
the 30s, man. The
The
30s. Can you
30s.
believe that?
Hmm.
So, so did you ever take like harmonica lessons or anything, or did you just do it all by ear?
Mostly by ear. But I was lucky enough to be surrounded with some pretty amazing people in the Boston area in the early 2000s. One of which is Billy Strauss. I think he lives in Seattle now. He went by Billy Blue. Um, Absolutely phenomenal harmonica player. He had a dog named Wolfie, named after Howlin' Wolf, of course, one of my all-time favorites. And I would just sit down and take like informal lessons with Billy. He was very, very generous in sharing knowledge and making sure I was on the right path, which was really cool. But I did take lessons from Jim Fitting in the Cambridge Music that used to be on Mass Ave in Cambridge in Porter Square. And Jim
I
was
think
just,
Chili spent some time with Jim too.
yeah, he's phenomenal. Just a great teacher, and I still go out to hear him play. They've been playing Treater Wright gigs,
Yeah.
like recently, and they're phenomenal.
Really?
They sound, oh my
Wow.
God, absolutely phenomenal. Yep, yep.
Wow. I didn't realize he was still playing. I didn't even know he was still around. That's
Oh
fantastic.
yeah, he's playing with Session Americana, and the Treater Wright revival that's been happening. It's really great.
So everyone's playing again now ever since 2020. It's like there's been like it's like every band is reunited. It's like I love it though. I love it. I love
So
this.
great.
Everyone's got a second wind and they realized, hey, the world almost came to an end. We almost all
Yeah,
died. So I'm happy. Do
let's.
you remember when you first got on stage and started playing harmonica?
I do. So I had met my boyfriend at the time, Jarrett Leighton, incredible guitar player. He was like a goth guy back in the day, heavy metal guitar, and then he found the blues separately. And then we kind of hooked up and we're like, okay, cool. We're playing. He's like, you're playing harmonica. He's like, I've met a guy at a party. He's gonna sing. His name's Lennox Rodney. And we just started doing open mics all around Boston. And there's a pizza place on Com Ave in Brighton called Bluestone Bistro. They used to do open mic nights. I can't remember when. It was our first night. We played like 3 songs, and I know that I was so nervous that afterwards I'm pretty sure I lost it in the bathroom. I'm like got sick, and I was just my nerves were like, oh, it was too much, which was
Wow.
really funny.
So you did it as a three-piece?
We did it as a 3 piece. Yeah, which was
Uh,
really cool.
Blues standards? I mean, what were you playing?
Yeah, it was more like Delta blues. We were going back to Robert Johnson, Big Bill Broonzy, yeah, Hubert Sumlin, like really taking it back. Jarrett played a National Steel guitar with a, resonator. So it just sounded great, acoustic.
Well, you're deep with your blues knowledge. I love it. Wow,
Yeah.
dropping some good ones, you know. Um, so did that last for a while?
It did. We played together for about 4 years. Starting off as a 3 piece. We had a washboard player at one point, which was fantastic. Then we decided we needed a rhythm section. And we're really good friends with Reverend Glasseye and his Wooden Legs, another
Hmm.
very influential band for me coming up in Boston at that time. So we shared their rhythm section. So Tim Mayer on drums and um, oh gosh, his brother on bass. And they were just phenomenal. So whenever Reverend Glasseye wasn't using Tim and Dennis, we'd be like, okay, come on, play with us, play with us. And it was upright bass and a very stripped down drum kit. And Tim would play with brushes. So it was kind of just very mellow and giving that old sound.
Like was it all local venues, Boston area venues, or were you
Oh,
doing
yeah. We didn't do much of anything. It was more like anywhere we could get in. But some of my favorite places were definitely Toad. We played at Matt Murphy's. Oh, geez. Where else did we play? Just some of the smaller places. Club Bohemia. I mean, I still have a typed letter from Mickey Bliss inviting us to play.
I love when Mickey Bliss's name gets involved in Mickey's a good friend of mine, you know, I love him. He's been on the show and he would help out any band that needed help, basically. He was solid. I mean, I go back,
Absolutely.
you know, I lived in California for a long time and a bunch of other states, but whenever I was around here, happened to be here around 2002, and he let me book Thursday nights at the Kirkland Cafe. And I was doing like all acoustic on Thursday nights because that place was not really, they did have rock there, but it wasn't really a rock bar, you know?
Yeah,
And so Mickey's a great guy. So you got to play down at you played downstairs at the Can Tap, right? Or was it the
we did
Kirkland?
both. It was both. Yeah, well, yep. But I remember the Kirkland very well with the stage in the front, like, yeah, right by the street level. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Only people that wanted a place to have their drinks held enjoyed the railing in the front of the stage. You know, the bands that drank heavy were like, "Oh, this is perfect, man. I can put all my beers here," you know. But other than that, it didn't
Exactly.
look right. It just didn't look
It
right at
was weird.
all. I wanted to rip that thing down, you know. I was like, "What is that thing doing there?" Um,
Yeah.
what was the name of the band you were playing under at that time?
We were called the 2240s.
2240s.
Yeah.
And you did
Yep.
all blues.
We did all blues, mostly covers of really just old Delta blues and Chicago blues.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mm.
So you did that for several years, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, after that, sadly, Jarrett passed away too young and too soon
I'm
in
sorry.
2004. Yeah, it was a really, really tough time. And I think I took it in I just was like, okay, I'm kind of done for the moment. And I took some time off playing I kind of regret now looking back. I should have just powered through. Um, it did lead to some opportunities. I got to play with Reverend Glasseye and his Wooden Legs on their last, like a final hurrah tour when they were about to move out of Boston. I think that was around 2006. And then kind of just stayed quiet and just played, practiced in the kitchen, still played along to records, and never really did anything until always wanted to play with Lennox, who's the singer of the 2240s. Luckily, we still play together to this day. He's
That's
absolutely
good.
incredible. Yeah.
Have you been living in the Boston area the whole time?
Yep, I've been
Where
here the whole time.
in the city?
Yeah, I've just moved to Malden, but other than that, been living in Somerville for like 14 years before
Oh,
that.
Miss
Yeah.
Somerville. I lived there for 9 years and I just uh I used to live
Yep.
in Teal Square, which is like
Yeah.
walking distance from the Davis Square train station, and
Yep.
that was awesome. Um, so when did you took that, I know you said you went through a little rough period and you did some stuff here. When did you start to realize you wanted to do it more full, do more of it? Was it much later than 2006, 7?
Yeah, it was. Like I honestly didn't do too much. I started playing with a couple bands here, a couple bands there, never really did much. And it really took until I got a call from Lennox and he's like, "Hey, I've got a project. They need harmonica. Are you interested?" I was like, "Absolutely." And this was 2019 for me to really be like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to make a serious effort again to at least get out there and do something.
Yeah, because now you're
Um,
involved in so many different projects. I mean, so it all
yeah,
started around 2019.
yeah, for sure. And it was all, Lennox calls me. He's like, yeah, a friend I grew up with is putting together this project focusing on Elvis Presley's like kind of lost years and like more bluesier sound, and he needs a harmonica player. So
Talking
I'm
about
sure you know
Charles
Charles
Rivers?
Rivers.
Good friend of mine, by the way.
Uh-huh.
I haven't
Oh
talked,
yeah.
well, we've texted every now and then, but we used to spend a lot more time together, but we haven't seen each other in like 6 months or something.
Yeah.
So you started playing, okay, you do the Western Faults too?
Yes, I actually, well, it was it the Western Faults that
Well,
I
his
just
other
played with, or
band was
his, yeah.
the Elvis tribute band was you know what? That whole project got destroyed by the pandemic because he had these big gigs, posters
Man,
everywhere, a lineup of great musicians, and then the
oh,
pandemic just wiped it out.
it certainly did. I remember it well. We were practicing so hard. It's 2019, moving into 2020. We have this awesome gig set up for March 11th of 2020.
I
March, no, sorry,
remember.
March 14th of 2020. Yeah, and we practiced so hard. We were ready to roll, and then it just everybody knows the story,
Yeah,
you
well, the
know.
irony of all that is that on March 6th, we had a new art show start at New Alliance. I've been on two shows, the one you went to and that one. Imagine having an art show that started on March 6th, 2020. He was there, and I remember there were posters everywhere, and we started hearing rumblings about something, but it's amazing how fast from March 6th to the 13th, the following week, that it escalated to the point that we were all locked down,
Yeah,
and I felt really bad for him. So
yeah.
you did that show ended up happening eventually, right?
We ended up playing for almost, I think, about 2 years. And we got some pretty fun gigs.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but the debut
the main
show was like pushed back a while, is what I
Yeah, we
meant.
ended up, yeah, we never really did that main show where it was just going to be like this bonanza of amazingness. But I remember, like, the first thing we did was like a YouTube broadcasted show before venues started opening. And then we would just get together, rehearse, and even through the pandemic, and everybody was masked except for me because I can't play harmonica mask.
Oh, that's
Um,
true. It's
yeah, I was
very
like,
true.
all right,
I'd like to
we're
see
taking
someone try and do
chances.
that, actually. That would be
Oh, yeah, and yeah,
so
we ended up
so
playing gigs for like 2 years together. It was really fun.
wow, okay. I didn't realize that you were in on that early on like that because I think I saw footage of you with the Western Faults.
Yes, yes, that was recently. That was for it was 420 this year at Union Tavern in Somerville, and Charles organized a um like a Waylon Jennings
Yeah,
Willie Nelson
I
show.
was gonna say he went to sleep one night as Elvis and woke up as Merle Haggard the next day. You know, it's like I remember when we went through that whole thing. I'm like, "You're what?" And he's
Oh yeah.
really commits himself to these projects, so I give him credit. He's a good guy to get involved with. So, I don't have the order of these two groups of when you got involved, but I know you're involved with the Up South and Dub Heptagram, which is really
Yes.
interesting. So, which one you want to talk about first?
We'll talk about Heptagram first because that one came about first.
So
So this
that's kind of
one,
your project, right?
yeah, I would say it's more my brother-in-law's project that he's the driving force behind it. And it's been so fun. So my brother-in-law is like basically completely self-taught musician, can pick up anything and play it. It's very impressive. So
Yeah.
he started making all of these dub tracks. And he's like, "Yeah, you want to come over and play on them?" So my husband, who's also a musician, plays guitar, he plays bass amongst other instruments. He's a music teacher, so he plays a lot. We're like, yeah, let's do it. So we go over there and we just started to record, and my brother-in-law Patrick would mix and master everything, and we just throw it on Bandcamp and Spotify, whatever, and it's been fun.
Really different instrumentation. And you mentioned the melodica before, and I'm
Yeah.
going to just tell people the definition of what that is, okay? Because I have it in front of me. The melodica is a handheld free reed instrument similar to a pump organ or harmonica. It features a musical keyboard on top and is played by blowing air through a mouthpiece that fits into a hole in the side of the instrument. Wow.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
play that.
Yeah, I sort of play that. I blow air into it and it makes some sounds and it sounds cool. So yeah, I
But
can't play piano, but I totally play by ear. I'm very untrained and I absolutely love playing melodica. It's so fun.
and
Yeah.
that's your main instrument in dub heptagram, right?
Yeah, that and harmonica. Yep.
And what other instruments are in that group? Because it sounds so different. I can't always.
Yeah. The other ones are just bass and then guitar.
Yeah, the
And then
way he.
Patrick's yeah,
Go
he's
ahead.
doing everything digitally.
Yeah, I was gonna say the way he gets the sounds is just totally unique. I suggest that you go on Bandcamp and check it out. I was listening to one really got my ear, and I listened to it several times. Dub, Powderhouse Dub. That's the name of it. Um, it's funny because I was listening to it and I thought, did I hear harmonica and melodica in the same? Okay, because I couldn't figure out what was what. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
recorded, how did you guys record?
We're recording at Patrick's house. And I can't remember what he's using to record on, but he's just got this little space that we call the snake pit, and we're recording the snake pit. Um,
What's
uh,
what's the this how do you record? Like does he record what's he record first?
he'll do like a backing track, like the main beats, the dub, like that's holding it all down, and then we'll come in and I'll lay harmonica over it, and then we'll lay some bass over it, and then we'll just keep layering, and then he'll either strip away or you add to it. Yeah, and it's incredible what he can do.
Excuse my naivety. Did I say that
Yeah.
right? Naivety. The dub is not coming through the guitar. How does he do the dub? Because I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, I don't even understand either. He's taking samples from, he's got like a ham radio, so he'll take a sample of truck drivers and their conversations, which is Delta
Wow.
Charlie is all like that sampling of stuff that he just heard off the ham radio and just recorded. Then he'll take that and just kind of mix it into whatever drum track that he came up with, and then starts layering the stuff we've recorded together. I don't know. He's amazing. Again,
Is
untrained, just does it.
is this just a recording project, or have you tried done this live?
Just a recording
Yeah, I was
project.
gonna say I don't know how in the world you do that.
I don't know either, but I think it would be kind of fun to challenge ourselves and maybe get something together and do it.
I don't know why I
Yeah.
wrote this down. I must have saw it somewhere. Hypnotic dub infected grooves. I guess that's how you would describe
Yeah.
someone put that on the Bandcamp page because I liked it when I saw it. And there's two
Yeah.
EPs out,
Yep.
two EPs. Um, so is this just going to be an ongoing project for you? Like when those guys want to get together and do it, you're just going to just go to his house and record?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes it turns into like, yeah, we'll go over, we'll have dinner, uh, hang out, and then we'll just go upstairs and jam and see what comes of it and record it.
So it's a
So yeah.
combined writing process with all of you?
Yeah, I would say Patrick is definitely the driving force and in the beginning of the process, and then we're just my husband and I just kind of peppering on with other sounds. Yeah.
God, for you people listening, it's really interesting. I mean, I've never, it's kind of like I think I'm hearing reggae and I think I'm hearing ska, and then I hear the melodica, then the harmonica, and then there's guitar leads that are great. It's really, you got to check it out. It's like I didn't know what to expect, and I enjoyed it. The Up
Cool.
South is more of a rock band, okay? So that's more of
Yes.
like a band. I'm sure you play out with that band, right?
Yes, yes. We just started playing out. We're relatively new playing together. It started last year. So this is Dante Conti. He's the main songwriter.
I
He's
know that
just
name.
got this, yeah, he's got a wealth of back catalog stuff that we're working through. So he's writing the songs and singing and playing guitar. Absolutely incredible. And we are right now rehearsing in our drummer Mark Phil's basement in Dedham, which has been phenomenal. And then recently had the addition of Rob Fossil on bass, and that's been incredible. He also switches off and plays some slide guitar on a couple tunes, and I'll play some crappy bass.
The difference between rock harmonica and blues harmonica, it's been, Black Sabbath, Aerosmith, the Rolling Stones, it's been done a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Steve Marriott with Humble Pie, For you, how does that work for you? Is it about the tuning? I mean, what is it that's the difference for you when you play blues harmonica and or play harmonica with a rock band, or is there even a difference?
Yeah, there's not much of a difference, to be honest with you. It's not like we're playing country blues where it's a very stripped down, where you're getting that Sonny Boy one kind of sound where you're really using your hands to get sound. Um, this is definitely, I'm using guitar pedals. I'm, adding some fuzz in, delay, trying to really get a just a bigger sound from the harmonica and a more diverse sound, because if I'm going to play on every single song, I can't have the same tone throughout. I really want to vary tones. So I would say it's very similar to blues because it's all blues based rock, right? But there's something more to it, and I think it this band has been such a force for me creatively. I'm very, very grateful to Dante and to arranging this. And yeah, just it's pushing me out of my comfort zone, which is blues. I just want to sit there and stay in that zone. And now I'm just, I'm able to do more.
Yeah, I don't know if this because Chili Kurtz rubbed off on me so much, but I love hearing a harmonica through an amp. I don't like Yeah, I worked at A&M, so I worked with Blues Traveler, so I saw Blues Traveler a lot, and I don't think John Popper's ever going to hear this, but if he does, forgive me, John, but I do not like that style of harmonica at all. I like
Mhm.
a more distorted, noisy through an amp, and that's the way you play.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I have a small amp addiction. I have what do I have now? I have three Silvertones, an old Ampeg Jet, I just got this little Supro from 1959. It's got one 8-inch speaker. I can pick it up with one hand. I love this
Wow.
amp. It's a great little, all these old tube amps like give you that really like gritty sound that I'm obsessed with. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I remember, so you know how guys get around women when women musicians come in, and I used to go to a lot of road shows with Caged Heat, and when Jill would set her gear up, and guys, the sound guys, and everybody were like, "How you gonna do that?" And then she'd play, and they'd be like, "What?" I mean, she shut them up in a hurry because I don't think people understand. The little Walter was the first one to play through an amp, right?
Yeah, and he was like the first one who recorded, like when you're a harmonica player and you're playing electrified, you're actually making this like you're holding the microphone in your cupped hands like this, and you're really just making the seal around your mouth to get this almost like a chamber of air and sound. And without it, it's just you can hear the difference of my voice even just doing that. So um he was the first one to record with a microphone in his hand like that,
If
and
you're
really
listening, you'll
creating
have.
that gritty.
Yeah, if you're listening,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to go on YouTube to check out the demonstration that we're getting here from Heather on how to properly hold the harmonica. But
I
I've
don't have a
seen,
microphone or a harmonica to demonstrate.
yeah, I've
I
seen it.
failed.
Believe me, even though I haven't seen you play live, I've seen videos of you, and I watched you, and I'm like, this is like Chili Kurtz reborn. I was watching you play, and I'm like, because I haven't seen anybody. There's not very many people that do it like
No,
you guys do. So
no.
that is fantastic. Okay, so up south, Dub, the Golden
Yeah.
Rulers.
Yeah.
Was that just something you
Yeah.
you filled in and played with?
Yeah. So yeah. So with the Elvis band, we Suspicious Minds, we were where did we play? Square Root in Rossi, which is fantastic place to play. We
You
were
mean
playing there with a group of
Roslindale? You
bands.
call it
Yeah,
Rosie? I like that,
I
Rosie.
did. Wonderful place, absolutely phenomenal place to play. We were playing there, and John Cohen was playing in one of the bands, and he came up to me afterwards. He's just like, "Hey," he's a percussion player. He's like, "Would you like to record? Come by. I'll send you a couple tunes. I'd love for you to record on our upcoming CD with the Golden Rulers." And I was like, "Absolutely." It was like whatever opportunities were coming my way, especially having gone through a pandemic. I'm like, I am not saying no to anything. I'm stealing that from my husband, who says that all the time. And I love that attitude because it's just saying, like, yeah, you know what? We sat home for a year and a half. I'm like, it's time to do stuff.
I
So John's
agree.
like, hey, come on by. We'll record. I went out to his house. I believe he's out in Acton. And he's got this wonderful recording studio downstairs in his basement. And we recorded two songs for the Golden Rulers release that came out last December. So fun. And yeah, just uh just just an awesome time.
Is there any other
Yeah.
bands you're playing with these days, or sitting in,
You
or recording with?
know, nothing yet. I'm always looking around. I'm always looking for new opportunities. I think it's a great way to grow as a musician. And honestly, all I want to do is play out. So whatever's gonna get me there, I'm like, yes, let's
A good
go.
a good harmonica part in a song is really important. Like, I don't know if you ever heard the Divorce Song by Liz Phair, but the fact that they threw
Ooh,
the harmonica in at the end of the track, like, totally makes the track for me. Well, her lyrics and her singing is brilliant, but that harmonica at the end, you should check it out. The Divorce Song. It's really,
I
really
will.
good. What are you listening to these days?
Ooh, let's see. So I told you I just moved to Malden. We're right in Malden Center. I've been out to Faces Brewery to eat, but I finally went out a couple weeks ago to check out their live music scene.
Got to get
And
to
I
that
didn't know the
venue.
bands.
I hear
Oh, it's
great things
great.
about that venue. I got to get there.
Fantastic. I had no idea. I was like by myself. I'm like, I'm going out. I want to hear live music. I just stumbled in and this band called Cuidado was playing. Um, some former member or members of Big D and the Kids Table. They had two baritone sax players. I was like, yes, yes, yes,
Wow.
yes. They were phenomenal, high energy, absolutely fantastic. And then on after them, equally as awesome was Nick in the Adversaries, former Pilfers, or maybe they're still in Pilfers. I'm not sure. Absolutely incredible show. I had such a blast. So those guys, both of those bands I've been nonstop listening to. Uh,
I'm
anything,
kind of betting that you're a Morphine fan too. You mentioned saxophones. You probably like Morphine, right?
yeah. Anytime Vapors of Morphine plays, we don't miss it. We're always
Oh,
there.
really?
Absolutely
Nice.
love them. Yeah, and likewise, Jeremy Lyons, who plays and sings in Vapors, he's in a band called Mean Black Spider with Mark Early. These guys are the real freaking deal. They're doing blues like I want to do blues. They're playing songs that people you'll never hear, like from Lazy Lester songs. They're doing Howlin' Wolf tunes, Little Walter tunes. I'm telling you,
What's the name
get
of the band?
Mean Black Spider. They're on
I
Bandcamp and they
Wow.
play around. They
I
play
gotta
like the
write that
Plowing
down.
Stars, like 4 o'clock on Sundays sometimes. Perfect time. They are absolutely phenomenal.
Mean Black Spiders.
Yep, Mean Black Spider. One spider.
One spider.
Yeah.
I'm jotting
Um,
that down.
Another guy that I follow on Instagram, and every time he plays out a lot. Hambone Skinny.
Oh
So
yeah,
he like,
yeah.
oh man, that's the stuff. I love
Skinny
that
Mike.
punk blues. Yeah, that sound is everything. Yeah.
Wow,
So yeah,
you
all
have
those
good
guys.
taste. I like
Yeah,
I like what you're listening to. Do you listen to
yeah,
records at home or do you listen to
yeah. Yep.
Spotify or
No, I love vinyl. Yeah,
do you have
definitely
a
into
good
vinyl.
do you have a big record collection? Because I love talking about that.
Uh, I think I'm like around like have about 300 albums.
Nice.
Yeah. And I
Y-
I I'm probably like you or I'm all over the place genre wise. I think the last record I bought was Bob Vylan's latest called Humble as the Sun. Phenomenal. These guys are absolutely incredible. I saw them when they opened for Amyl and the Sniffers at Big Night Live. I think it was 2022. And they were at the merch table and I just, went up and struck up a conversation and they are the most down to earth, sweet gentlemen. I was like, and demons on the stage, absolute demons.
I love your enthusiasm for all different genres. I'm the same
Yeah.
way.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
um, so before I let you go, I mean, is there anything coming up that we should know about? Do you have any gigs or are you playing or
Yeah.
what do you got coming?
The Up South is playing Malden's Porch Fest. I can't wait for
Porch
that. So
Fest.
yeah, May 18th.
Oh,
So
that's
we're at
right
May
around the
18th.
corner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. May 18th at noon. We're playing, I believe it's 47 Perkins Ave. I might be botching that, but you can check it out on Malden's Porch Fest website. They list all the bands. So the Up South is playing there. I am very excited to play with the incredible Nikki Luparelli in her Strip Zeppelin show that's coming up at the Crystal
No
Ballroom.
way.
Yeah,
When is
on
that
June
show?
1st. Oh, it's phenomenal. It's all Led Zeppelin,
Yeah,
done
I
with
know it.
burlesque dancers.
June
So I'm
1st, you
playing
said?
hmm
Oh, gotta write that down
Crystal
too.
Ballroom.
I
Come on
love the
by. This
crystal
one's
ball. I love that room.
same, same, same. I'm playing
Fantastic room.
harmonica on 3 songs and I cannot wait. I've been
Three,
practicing my butt off.
can you tell us what songs they are?
Yeah, what am I doing? I'm doing oh my gosh, you
Probably the
ask me and then I blank on them. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
early Zeppelin.
Um yeah, while I think about it, I'm trying to think of like the other gigs coming up.
If you don't care, if you don't
Um,
remember what
no,
songs they are, it doesn't matter. The whole first Led
uh,
Zeppelin record's a blues record
oh,
anyway. So,
yeah, so You Shook Me, obviously. Nobody's Fault But Mine, and one of my personal favorites, When the Levee Breaks.
oh wow, that's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome. Is that show already sold out?
I don't think it is, but I bet you it will. It sold out last year. So I'm assuming it'll go fast again.
I love Nikki Luparelli. I got to get her on the show. She is so
Yeah, you
cool.
do. That would be awesome. She's just incredible.
How did you guys get on each other's radar?
I think she found me online. She was looking for a harmonica player for this specific project last year, found me online and wanted to do an all women ensemble on stage. Um, and she's like, yeah, then she messaged me again this year and she's like, you want to come back for more? And I was like, yes, please. It was the
Of
most
course.
fun. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's been great talking with you. You got
Likewise.
a great story. I'm glad that you came down to New Alliance and we met and that you're here because
Yeah,
I'm really inspired by you, you know. I mean, I don't think of course there's a lot of people out there that love the blues, but there's never enough.
I agree. I think like just being a champion of the music scene around you is so important. Like get out there. There's so much great music. And if you need somebody to go with, just let me know.
Thank you very much, Heather.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Steve.
All right.